Imagine you are at a restaurant with just one chef. You place your order and the chef cooks the dish for you before even taking order from other customers. So in this restaurant, things move really slowly. It moves one thing at a time. This is what is called synchronous. In case of synchronous, you perform one task at a time. Now imagine after a few days, the chef become a little more smarter. Now they started taking multiple orders. They start cooking the dish on the oven, maybe boil water for the another customer, and while something is cooking they take the new orders. This is what is called asynchronous. Things are not happening one at a time. Also, it may not be occurring at the same time. Hey, this is Tapas. Welcome back to the 40 days of JavaScript. Today we are getting started with a brand new module, and the module that I'm most excited about is asynchronous programming with JavaScript. By nature, JavaScript is synchronous. Why? We are going to see it in a while. But without JavaScript being asynchronous and giving you a lot of handles to deal with data, APIs, things that are not available on your UI unless you take advantage of the asynchronous part of JavaScript. Today in this video, we are going to learn about callback. Earlier, when we have learned about functions, we dealt with callback already, but in a smaller scale. Today, we are going to get into callback deep down, try to understand its use cases, also the problem that callback might bring in if you try to use them too much in your code. I hope you are equally excited like me. If so, don't forget to like this video, share this video, talk about 40 days of JavaScript with your coding buddies and the friends. That's the way I also get the fulfillment of spending so much time to create quality content for you. All right, so let's get started understanding the synchronous part of JavaScript first. JavaScript is synchronous by default. It means JavaScript performs one task at a time, which means it executes one line at a time. Right now, on your screen, you are seeing a console.log, right? It says console.log async JavaScript callback. Let me add a few more console.log. Now, when JavaScript start executing this file, it will start from the beginning of the file. This console.log will be executed. After that, there is a empty line, nothing to do with that. It will skip, go to the third line. This console.log will be executed, then this one, then this one. So it means each line of code waits for the previous line to finish, and then only that line of the code will be executed. This is quite simple. Synchronous programming is very simple, but it can be inefficient at times because you have a sense of blocking here, isn't it? Synchronous programming is blocking. You are blocking the execution of middle until you finish the execution of start. You are blocking the execution of end until you finish the execution of start and the middle, and well before that this particular execution as well. Once you see the output, you will see this output is happening sequentially, is in the order, exactly the same order how they were defined in your JavaScript file. But in case of asynchronous programming, which is non-blocking, the task doesn't wait if they are slow. JavaScript says, hey, start this. While it finishes, you do something else. And that is the power that we want to get in the programming, right? Because if some tasks are slow in nature, taking more time, for example, an API call. What is an API call? You have a database lying somewhere with data. In front of that, you might be having an API server, and then your browser is the client. From browser, you initiate some call, API call to that API server to retrieve certain data from that database. Now, over the network, this call has to go, then to connect to your database, fetch that data, and to come back with the data to your client UI, the browser, is definitely going to take some time. You cannot really hold your user blank and waiting in that particular time that it takes to retrieve the data for you. You have to let the user do something while the data fetching is happening. In all other modern applications that you might be using day in, day out, for example, it is Facebook, LinkedIn, X or Twitter, whatever it is, you will see the asynchronousness already fitted there. You don't wait for something that is taking more time. Rather, in that particular time, you must be doing something else. For example, if you're commenting on someone's post, if the commenting is taking time, the UI doesn't get frozen. In that time, you can still go to other posts and interact with them, can like that post, or can read the details of the post. So it means that in case of asynchronous programming, JavaScript is allowing you to do something else while certain other things are in progress. Let's take an example of a simple asynchronous programming snippet in JavaScript. The same code, let me just modify it a little bit. First, I have a console.log of start. Then I have a middle. Now, instead of putting this console.log, which is synchronous over here, what I'm interested to do something asynchronous. There are multiple ways that you can achieve asynchronousness in JavaScript. We are going to see some of them in today's video, more of them in tomorrow's video, and more than that in the next videos. So there are a lot of ways. The easiest way possibly is using some of the web APIs that JavaScript provides. For example, set timeout is one of the web API that helps us to achieve asynchronousness to do something in the non-blocking way. How? The set timeout is a function that JavaScript gives us. What it does, how it works. It takes two things mandatorily. The first thing is a function that the set timeout function will execute. So let's write a function over here. I am writing the arrow function. You can write anonymous function, or you can define a function outside and then can pass the function name over here. Up to you. As this particular function often execute in the context of set timeout, we generally don't have to define this function outside and again pass the name of the function over here. Instead of that, either I can use an anonymous function or I can use an arrow function straight away. Okay. So that's the first argument. And the second argument that it takes is after how much time you want JavaScript to execute this particular function. And that time you can provide in milliseconds. For example, if I provide 2000 milliseconds, so it means that after 2 seconds, whatever you put inside this function will be executed. So here, let me put console.log, say waiting done. So what I'm saying that after 2 seconds, you execute this particular console.log. Now, if JavaScript engine sees this particular code, how it will behave? It will first go to the line number 1 is a synchronous execution. So console.log will be executed. While console.log JavaScript is executing, this guy is never going to get executed because this is synchronous. So let's write. Now, once JavaScript sees this line number 2, which is a set timeout, it will see, okay, the implementation of set timeout on the browser, it is in a way that this particular function will be deferred from executing, means it won't be executed until this particular timer get expired. So it will imagine it is keeping this particular function aside somewhere, and then it will move forward. It will not wait over here. It will move forward to the next line to continue its execution. And when that 2 seconds gets over, it will bring back this particular function and then execute it. We already have learned when the function gets executed, JavaScript put that function inside call stack or the execution stack, isn't it? So when this first console.log comes into picture for execution, as it is synchronous, it straightway gets into imagine in the call stack gets executed. For set timeout, this set timeout when JavaScript encounters, it is not going to execute is this particular function. It is going to keep it aside for this particular duration and then move to the next line to see whether I have something to execute immediately. If it is synchronous, put into the call stack. If it is asynchronous, again, I'll be taking care of it later. But in this case, it is synchronous, so it will execute this. Now, as the 2 seconds elapsed, after that, JavaScript will bring back this particular function again into the call stack and it will execute. So now with this explanation, you probably guessing the output of this is going to be start, then end, then waiting done. But if you have guessed the output will be start, then waiting done, then end, you will be wrong. Because as the JavaScript executes line by line, first saying the start synchronous, it will execute. Then over here, it will say, oh, after 2 seconds, I have to execute. So I'll park it, I'll move on. So coming here, it will see, oh, there is another synchronous execution. Let me execute. Now, after this, there is nothing. If there is another synchronous execution, it will move on to that if the 2 seconds is still not elapsed. Once the 2 seconds elapsed, it will come to this and this asynchronous execution will happen. Let us see that output. We are expecting start, end, and then the waiting done. Start, end, you see it's taking time. Now the waiting done has come. Let us do it again. Refresh, start, end, 2 seconds going on. Now the waiting done has come. So you have realized now the asynchronous and the non-blockingness of JavaScript. This is just a very, very simple example to get started. There are multiple ways you can achieve asynchronousness in JavaScript. One of the way that we are going to tackle today is called callback. Then in the next video, we are going to talk about promises. Then the video after, we are going to talk about the async await keywords. And then after that, we are going to see all of them together in the context of something very important is called event loop. Okay. So today with callback, let's get started. So what is a callback? We know that callback is a function that passed as an argument to another function. But why I will pass a function as an argument to another function? So it's like I have a function fn and it takes an argument. The argument that we pass to this function is nothing but another function so that I can execute it somewhere. Okay. Now, when I am calling this function fn, that time I can pass this function. How can I pass? I can pass probably an anonymous function like this, say console.log of hello. So it means the fn, this particular function, gets executed by passing a function as an argument and then execute this particular function inside it, inside the fn. So this is what is known as callback function. This particular function that we pass as an argument to another function is known as a callback function. But why it is called callback function? The reason that is called callback function because the function that we are passing as an argument to another function, this particular function's purpose, the calling purpose of this particular function is to call back sometime later, maybe based on certain conditions, maybe with some API call, maybe after some IO operation, right? That is when this callback function will be very, very useful. Let's take a much better example of a callback function. Let's create a function called greet, which takes a name to greet someone and a callback function. Okay, I gave the name callback. You can give any name. I'm explicitly giving the name callback to the parameter so that you understand that I'm expecting a callback function over there when I'm calling the greet method. Now I will do console.log of hi and then name. After doing that, let me do callback. Now you have a very simple function called greet, which takes a name and a callback function. Now let me define another function, says say bye, a very simple function which will do console.log of say bye. Okay. Now when I call this greet method, I can pass a name, isn't it? Greet method first argument is a name. So I pass tapas. And the second argument is a callback function. That means you can pass another function. So I'll pass this say bye function. So what will happen? When greet is getting called in the line number 17, is taking tapas as the first parameter's value, which is the name. So it will print console.log hi tapas. After that, it is going to execute this callback function. It means the say by that I am passing over here, and giving a parenthesis after function name means you are executing a function. We have learned that in depth from our function class. So it means here this callback having a value which is nothing but the say by function, and then there will be a parenthesis. So say by will be executed over here, then it will print a console.log of bye. So the output I am expecting hi tapas and then bye. Hi tapas and bye. Good. So with this example, you can understand now that the purpose why I am passing a function to another function, because I want to do something with that function at a later point in time. In this case, the later point in time is after some execution, after some code execution. I am actually calling this function. But this is still synchronous, isn't it? Because when the greet function is getting invoked, it is going to invoke the first line, which is like line number 10. And the line number 11 has to wait till the line number 10 gets executed. After line number 10's execution getting over, then the callback value is nothing but say by. So then this will be executed. With the function execution context, it will go inside the say by and again execute this thing, right? So this is purely synchronous. Then where the asynchronous thing is coming with callback. Now, in many cases, there can be a misunderstanding saying that callback helps you for doing the asynchronous programming. It is not straight away true. Rather, you should be thinking in this way that callback is a great handle, is a great mechanism to handle the result of an asynchronous operation. When you make an asynchronous operation, for example, you're making an API call or making an input output call, like you are doing something with the file system. Now, your operation outcome can be either it's a success or a failure. So when it is a success or when it is a failure, If it is a success, you have to let your calling program or the user interface or the client program to know that this is a success. If it is a failure, in that case also you have to notify your client or the caller. Now, once the caller gets notified whether it's a success or failure, caller can decide what to do with that. It might want to show a toast message, it might want to show certain other actions, or it might want user to do something else, maybe going to the next page or whatever it is. But it is important for your caller or the client program to know whether the operation, the asynchronous operations outcome was a success and failure. Now, to handle this particular thing is where callback is very, very useful. We are going to see some examples right away, but I hope that you understood this one. Now, for this example itself, this callback gets executed immediately after this line number 10. Now, let me put one more console.log of I am still hanging here. And you want to execute this callback asynchronously. So one of the way that we know already is called set timeout, isn't it? What set timeout takes? Set timeout takes one function to get executed, and then it takes a timer. After that many milliseconds, that particular function will be executed. Now, if you want this callback to be executed after that, you will be putting this callback over here. Now you change the nature of it. What will happen when the greet method gets called? When the greet method gets called, first this console.log will be executed and the set timeout won't be doing anything until the execution of the line number 10 happens. Once line number 10 gets executed, it's time for line number 11 to get executed. But is line number 11 is saying there is a set timeout and is telling JavaScript engine, boss, for 2 seconds don't execute this guy. Go move on to the next. Next is another console.log, it will execute. After 2 seconds elapsed, then JavaScript engine will pick up this particular function and it will execute. Once it pick up this particular function and execute, inside that it finds another function called callback. What is this callback? Is nothing but this say by that I have passed over here. So that means after 2 seconds, this by will come. So in this case, the output will be hi tapas, I am still hanging here, and then by. Let's see that. Hi tapas, I'm still hanging here, and by is coming after 2 seconds. So now I have executed this particular callback function after certain amount of time asynchronously. Forget about this particular callback function altogether for a moment. Whatever you are passing inside this set timeout, this particular function, this itself is another callback function. Don't you think so? Because JavaScript engine calling back this particular function after a certain time getting elapsed. So this particular function, this arrow function that you pass to set timeout, this itself is a callback function to let you know that, hey, now your this particular function execution starting and ending because this amount of time has already been elapsed. So that's the real usage of a callback function, which I hope is very clear to you now. It's time to see some of the real usage of a callback function. Now, we spoke about the API, right? So I have created a couple of APIs, and what we'll see right now that we'll be making those API calls. As a response of that API calls, we'll be using the callback function to handle the success or the failure scenario. But first thing first, let me introduce you to the APIs that I have created. Let's imagine that we are dealing with a pizza hub. What is a pizza hub? Pizza hub is a hub of various pizza providers like Domino's, Pizza Hut, and etc. Let's imagine that. So I have an API called /API/Pizza Hub. And if I execute this one, this gives me that what are those available pizza center that are open right now to place order. So I get the response as Pizza Hut. So it means that at this point, Pizza Hut is open. Maybe Domino's is not open today. Now I get Pizza Hut. Now I can actually query further that under this Pizza Hub, now I want to see what are those pizzas that are available in Pizza Hut for me to order. So the second API that I have /API/Pizza Hub, pizzas slash the name or the identifier of the Pizza Hub. In this case, it is Pizza Hut. So if I do that, I get a response saying that, hey, I can order this kind of pizza. Look like there is something called a margarita. It's a vegetarian pizza. Price is 10 USD and it is of course available in Pizza Hut. So I can order that. Great. Now before I place this order, I can also check, do I have any kind of add-ons or the beverages that I can get along with this pizza? So I have this pizza ID, right? ID is 2. So there is another API endpoint which can say is that from the Pizza Hub, you have the beverages, what kind of beverages you can get for this particular pizza, whose ID was 2. So if I execute that, I will get a Pepsi. Now I got the pizza that is there in the Pizza Hub. Now I know this is the add-on, this is the drink that I can get with the pizza. Now if I place an order, I'll be able to get this pizza and this particular drink delivered to my home. So there is another API called slash API slash order, which is a post call through which I can place the order. So there are a bunch of APIs that I have created in this running locally. Now let us start simulating an application and make this call one by one. And as a response of this call, whenever we get some response, we will handle them using callback. And let's start with a function which doesn't exist but we're going to create. Is called order pizza. And we are ordering a veg margarita pizza, right? So once this order pizza, this particular function gets called, the expectation is our system will automatically identify what is that Pizza Hub is open right now, and it will check whether on that Pizza Hub this veg margarita is available or not. If it is available, then it is going to check what kind of beverages or what kind of drinks that we can get as an add-on along with this pizza. And after that, this particular pizza and that particular drink will be ordered. And once the order is placed successfully, we'll get a confirmation of it. So this is what we're going to build. Let's create the order pizza function order pizza. It of course takes two parameter. One is the type of the pizza and one is the name of the pizza that you have seen. Type is the veg, name is the margarita. Now we have to call that API. The first API that we'll be calling API slash Pizza Hub. That's going to give us what are those Pizza Hub that are currently opened. For example, Pizza Hut or Domino's, right? So to make an API call, let's utilize one library function called query. We will take a small sneak to it, but you don't have to really understand what is there inside this query function in this video. All about the query function we'll start learning in the next video. Okay, so for now, let's imagine that there is a function called query, and that particular function can take an API endpoint. So this is like API slash Pizza Hub, and it can also take a callback function. Why it takes a callback function? Because when this call happen, when this API call happen, after the API call is being made, whether it's a success or an error, I have to handle that particular result over here. That's the reason I can pass a callback function. So I can pass a callback function which can give me a result or an error. And after getting that result or error, I can do whatever I want to do. For example, if there is no error, let's handle all the happy path for now. In case there is no error, once I get this result, if you remember the slash API slash Pizza Hub, when I execute, it gives me an array, isn't it? Array of open Pizza Hubs. In this case, it is Pizza Hut. So that means from this array, I can get its first element to get the value of the Pizza Hub that is currently open. So going back to the code, once I get this result, let shop ID equals to result of 0. That will give me at least one pizza shop that is open currently. So I'll do console.log of shop ID. I can do this, right? For now. So if I execute this particular code for now, I'm calling the order pizza. Type of the pizza is veg and the name of the pizza is margarita. It is calling an API, and once the API call is done, is executed, I am able to deal with the response of that API using this callback function. Very simple, very straightforward. Let's go ahead and start seeing the output, like what it prints. Does it give me the shop ID, right? Shop ID. In my case, it will be Pizza Hut. Let's see. Yes, it gives me Pizza Hut. Great. So it means I am able to make an API call, get a response, and I am able to deal with this response using the callback function. So this is the usage of it. Now at this point, let us take a look into this query function so that we understand the callback function we are passing to this query function, what exactly happening with it. Okay. The query function is inside a directory called lib. Inside that there is a query.js. Inside that you can find the query function. Okay. So what is this query function? It is making a fetch API call. This is what I was saying. You don't have to really understand now. I'm going to get much deeper of fetch API call, understand how to deal with it, how to do different kind of state scenarios, error scenarios, everything in the upcoming videos. You don't have to understand any of this dot then anything, right? But imagine query is a method which takes an endpoint, the API endpoint, and takes a callback. And there are some optional parameters as well. Now, this particular callback is getting called, if you see, under this then. Imagine it in a way that if everything is successful, this particular call execution is successful, API execution is successful, the control will come to this line number 8. That is where we are calling this callback function by passing the response that we are getting from the API. This JSON will have the response after making the call to this particular API. And that particular response, whatever we are getting from this API call, we are passing as a parameter to this callback function. That is the reason from the caller, if you see this query from the caller over here, this is the API and this is the callback. And the first parameter of the callback will be the result that we are actually sending, the JSON from the query method, right? So this is how the callback is immensely useful. This is how you can actually pass a function as an argument to another function and can return it back or can execute it back at any point in time with additional information. In this case, query is calling back this particular function, the callback function that you pass to query with additional information, that is the response from the API. You are getting this additional information in this result and can do anything based on your business logic. Great. So far, we have queried the Pizza Hub for a store. Excellent. Now, as we have queried the Pizza Hub for a store, the next thing that we want to do is to get the store and query pizza. We got the store, the shop ID. Now, the next thing is about query the pizza. So for that, we can again call the query method, and this time the API will be API/pizza/pizzas and then passing the shop ID from which we want to get what are the pizzas are now available. And again, the information we will get in form of result and error. In this example, we are not handling error because I'm just giving you the perspective of callback and how it will be used. All this error scenario handling and all will be the next video when you learn promises. So if imagine there is no error, then what I can do, I have this result. What is this result? Let's go ahead and check from Postman once. So Pizza Hub, pizzas, Pizza Hut. If I do this, the result is an array which shows a bunch of pizzas available in this particular Pizza Hub. So in the Pizza Hub, there is one it is showing, but there are possibility that next time when you query, there might be more than one pizzas available. So you are right now looking for a veg pizza. The type is veg and the name is Margarita. So from this array, now you have to do some computation to check the pizza that you're looking for, whether it is there in the array or not. If it is there in the array, then take out that particular pizza information is what you will be doing, right? So first thing, the result is nothing but all the pizzas. So I got all the pizzas. Then you will check, please find if my pizza is available. How can you do that? So you will do let my pizza equals to the pizzas is an array. Inside that you can do a find. It will take a callback, get each of the pizzas. I hope you are well versed with it. So we have learned everything about array in the array master course. Now you will do a condition here, return by pizza if the pizza type and the pizza name matching the type and name I'm passing to this order pizza function, isn't it? Great. So now if you get a pizza matching, you will be doing a console.log of my pizza. Excellent. Very good. So in the first call, you got the shop ID. Now you use the shop ID, the Pizza Hub, to get what are the pizzas available. And after that, from that pizza, you are checking whether your pizza the pizza you are looking for, if there is a match, and then you are doing a console.log of that particular pizza. So far, let's see what is the output. So first, I got the Pizza Hub, that is a Pizza Hut. And this is my pizza that I was looking for, like Margarita veg. So there is a match. So now I know that in Pizza Hut, my preferred pizza is available. Now, the next thing that I'm interested in knowing whether for this particular pizza, is there any add-on beverages or the drink, right? So let's do that. So for checking if there is an add-on free beverages for a particular pizza, we have to make another API call. So for that, we'll be utilizing the query method, and the API that we'll be using is /API Pizza Hub beverages, passing the pizza ID. Your pizza, you got that particular pizza's ID. Again, to handle that, you will have a callback function, and inside this callback function, you will be able to get the information of this beverage, right? So if not error, you will be dealing with the beverages. This is the API, right? Pizza Hub /beverages/pizza ID. If I do send, okay, I get an array. And from there, I see what are those beverages that are applicable as an add-on, and I can get one of them. So I get Coke is available. Right now it is only one. So from this array, if I pick up the first element, that is a beverage, I get as a free, correct? So going back to the VS Code, now I can get the beverage is the result of 0, right? Now I can do console.log of beverage. Excellent. So first I got the shop ID. From that shop, got the pizza list. From there, I got my own pizza. For that pizza, now I got the drinks that I am entitled for. Let's see that. Great. Pizza Hut. This is the pizza. This is my pizza. Margarita veg. And for that, the drinks that I'm getting is Pepsi, right? Which is 11 USD, but it is free for me. Excellent. Now, if I got everything, the last thing that is pending for me is to place the order. So once I got everything, now I'll be doing like prepare an order. Now to make the order, you have to make another API call, which is like /API/order. So let's do the query again, the same method, our utility method, our library method for making an API call. Endpoint is /API/order. And if this result out in a success or an error, we have to handle it over here. Placing an order require details like which pizza you are trying to place the order for, and also what is that particular drinks that you are placing the order for. This information that you have to pass. And also /API/order is a post call, is not a get call. So whenever you are dealing with the post method, again, we'll be learning all this thing in detail when we go for the fetch video. But for now, just remember, whenever you are dealing with a post call, along with your API endpoint, along with your callback, you also have to let your API endpoint know that what is the details or what is the payload that you are sending from client to the API side. The payload in this case is the pizza ID and the beverage ID for which you want to place the order. So you have to send that somewhere. That some way of sending it is through a configuration option parameter. If I go to the query once again, you will see there is an options parameter, right? This options parameter is nothing but an object through which you can tell that you are going to make a post call, what is the body or the payload that you're going to send. This is a plain object, okay? Very simple object. So coming over here, the third parameter after your callback, first parameter is the API endpoint, second parameter is the callback, and the third parameter will be that option, which is an object. This is the object where you say method is post. I am dealing with an application/JSON type of request response, and this is the body I am sending to my post method, so that post method can create this order. To create this order, it needs the pizza ID that I'm getting from my pizza. It needs the beverage ID that I'm getting from beverage. What is my pizza? You know that before I got this my pizza, the pizza I'm interested in, and the beverage ID is for this pizza. What was the beverage? From that beverage, I'm getting the beverage ID. Now this is going to create an order for me, and that response will come in this particular callback. So coming over here, I can tell if there is no error, then do a console.log saying your order of type, pizza name with this particular beverage has been placed. If there is an order, else I can say console.log no pizza is there for you today, correct? Something like that, some error message. Now this is very straightforward. If the order is placed, I'm going to get this. So let's see the sequence. First I found the pizza hub, that is the Pizza Hut. Second, I found my pizza is available or not. Yes, it is available. Then for this pizza, what is the add-on that I'm looking for? Yes, available. Now I am getting this particular pizza's ID, which is 2, and this particular beverage ID is also 2. I am passing that and placing an order. I'm getting a response. Your order of veg margarita, this veg margarita with Pepsi, this Pepsi has been placed. If you remember, in the order API, I have not passed the name of my pizza. I have not passed the name of my drink. I just passed the ID of them. It identified internally, and then it is able to print this. It is all through my callback, correct? So this is great. My entire ordering of a pizza, selection to ordering, is done. Now if you want to simulate it like a true asynchronous call, like it takes some time, make some delay, and etc., you can simulate it. For that, we'll go to the query, and before we execute this callback straight away, we can also do a set timeout. Set timeout takes what? a function that it wants to execute, and after that a delay in milliseconds. And now I can cut this callback from here and put it inside the set time. Now this callback will be executed with a delay. It will simulate that there is something happening asynchronously. Okay. So what will happen right now? Let's start. So after some time, I'll get Pizza Hut. Then it will take another 2 seconds. I got my pizza. Then another 2 seconds, I got the beverage. Then my order is got placed. This is amazing. I had simulated that there is an asynchronousness that took place, that happened. Even if you want to print all these things in the UI, because you now learn about the DOM, you can do it very well. You can do it very easily. How? Let's go to this index.html file. Inside body, let's create a HTML structure. I have created a div having a h1 called Pizza Hub order here. And then there is a paragraph where I want to show the name of the store that got picked up. I want to show the order details. I want to show my add-on beverage. Then I want to show the order placed, that particular message. So I've created the structure, dummy structure. Now going to the index.js file, you know that each of those elements I can retrieve using document.getElement by ID. So if I have to retrieve this particular paragraph by this ID, I can easily do document.getElement by ID store. Similarly, order details, add-on, order, everything. Now, as I have the store EL, before I start querying for the store, I can put a content saying that store el.text content is I'm locating the store. And once the store location has been done, then I can print here the store el.text content is now located the store, the actual shop ID, correct? So if you see that in the UI right now, you will get a real feeling of an application. See, locating the store and then located the store Pizza Hut. You see that? So all these things that you are getting from the API call, you will be able to put them one by one over there. Let's complete the rest of it as well. Then for the order, we can say loading the order. After you get your pizza information, you can say you have ordered for my pizza.type and the pizza name. Then for the add-on, before you query for the add-on, you can say, hey, I'm checking for the add-on. And after you get your beverage information, you can say, hey, we have added an add-on, call this particular add-on for you. Then before placing order, you can put the text content on the order section saying that, hey, preparing your order. And then after your order is placed successfully, you can update that message saying that your order of this particular type or name with this particular beverage has been placed at this particular time. Let's see in the UI. So locating the store, great Pizza Hut. Now loading the order. It's loaded the order margarita, checking the add-ons Pepsi. Now preparing your order. Yes, your order of veg margarita with Pepsi has been placed at this particular time. Excellent. So we have not only dealt with an API, we have taken care of his success, error, etc. using callback. Then we also did the DOM manipulation to simulate how an order is happening, right? Completely. Now, in fact, you can modify this application further by not to hardcode this veg and margarita over here. Rather, in index.html file, you can have two fields which will tell the pizza name, whether it's a veg or non-veg, a button, place an order. Once the button gets clicked, take the value from there, then execute this function. I'm not doing that. I'm leaving it to you. If you want to experiment out, you please do it. So far, so good. With callback, we are able to take care of all those notifications, all those success, error scenarios after an asynchronous call has been made. But there is a serious problem with it. And due to this problem only, we are going to talk about promises. We are going to talk about async await, all these things in the upcoming videos. The problem is known by callback hell. The callback hell is a problem where too many callbacks can lead to unreadable code. So if you see this one in order pizza, there are so many callbacks. For the first query, there is one callback, which actually start here and takes the entire code. In this callback, you are initiating another query, and then that has another callback over here. And then in this callback, you are initiating one more query that has another callback. And inside that, you are initiating an order query that has another callback. So if someone has to read this code, this almost 90 lines of code, this goes like, inside one callback, there is another callback, inside another callback, there is one callback, and somehow the output from this particular callback become the input to the next asynchronous call. Again, output from this particular callback become an input to the next asynchronous call, and that's how it builds a kind of chain of callback, which we call as callback hell. But there is the better name, is also called callback pyramid. Why it's called callback pyramid? For a moment, if I zoom out this particular code, you would feel like that it is started creating a kind of pyramid structure over here. You see, the code is completely going inside, 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 and then again trying to come out, 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 out. It's kind of creating a pyramid structure over here, which is really not cool, really not good. And another problem over here, this code is very, very hard to refactor. So for example, if you want to create different functions, smaller functions from this, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to do it in a top-down approach. For example, this particular function is there in its entirety. This is the entire code. You see, I expand collapse. If you go inside this particular function, again, it has multiple things inside this. So only thing probably you can refactor from here is the last callback, taking out the order one. You can take out the preparing order from here to a different method and call this method over here. But you cannot really refactor well this entire code in a much readable way. So this is why you should not be relying on callback when you are dealing with asynchronous programming. But why did I waste your so much time teaching callback then? Is because that you really need to know what is callback, because though you will be using promises, async await, all this thing, you still will be using callback to some extent. You will see that we'll be talking about executor functions, resolve, reject, all this thing when you are learning about promises. When you are learning about the fetch API, we'll be talking about few other things. They're all callback will come, but in a bits of pieces, not to create a callback hell or a callback pyramid the way that we have seen over here. So don't avoid callback. What you avoid is chaining the callback and creating a callback pyramid, creating an unreadable code. And the way asynchronousness has been handled in this particular example, that's what you need to avoid. In the next video, we will try to break this particular order, pizza order application itself from the callback hell or the callback pyramid to promise way of handling. You will see the code is becoming much cleaner. So I hope you learn something new. But before we move out, I want to show you very quickly is how can you debug callback, how can you debug the asynchronous code in the context of whatever you have learned today. Let's see that. If you have not taken my session on debugging JavaScript, I have done that few days before. Please go ahead and take a look into that, because once you start investigating something on JavaScript on the browser side, you'll be using the Chrome DevTools or the Firefox DevTools or Safari for asynchronous code inspection, and the debugging also will be the help of that. So for that purpose, we'll now go to the source tab. Now under source tab, let's put a debug point somewhere near the order over here. Okay. This is where we have put the debug point on the order. So it means that before that, everything will execute and my debug point will hit only when we are going to place an order. So let's refresh this page so that everything initiates. Locating a store, yes, located. Loading an order, checking an add-on. Now it will hit the debug point. Yes, it has hit the debug point. Now, as it hit the debug point, debugging an asynchronous code using the Chrome DevTools is almost similar to debugging any other code, any other JavaScript code, the synchronous code and all. You have to rely on a few things. The most important thing that we'll be relying on is called call stack. So here I have to reduce the zoom a little bit so that I can show it to you side by side. Yeah. So if you see this call stack, this is what is going to tell you like what exactly happened till now, because you have not put debug point before this. You don't have any idea like how this particular debug point has got hit. You probably guessing that there could be an issue over here and you want to start the debugging from here, but you also want to know like what other things happened before this, so that certain values might be coming wrong and you want to deal with. That's why this call stack will be immensely useful. So over here, if I click on this anonymous, if you see, this is the first function through which the execution happened, the order pizza. You remember the first one. So after order pizza, we are getting into another function called query. Inside query, we have fetch, and from there we have the set timeout. We have written to show the delay. This is the set timeout. Inside that, there is one anonymous function, the set timeout executes, and then inside that you have the callback, and then again execution happened. There is no function over here. Again, the next query gets called. That's what we see over here. Again, in the next query, it will go to his fetch, it will go to his set timeout, it will go to his callback function, come back, and again the next query gets called. So this is how you go with the call stack approach from the bottom up approach. through which it will be very, very easy to locate any portion of the execution, the function execution in your asynchronous call. Otherwise, it may be difficult for you when the debug point may jump from one place to another place because asynchronous call is happening. A call is being made. Now the debug point will go to the next particular call. We don't know like when the response is coming. But if you look into the call stack, after all the responses has come, you can still traverse through all the execution, all the function execution that has happened, right? So utilize it, use it. I think that is when it will be very, very useful to you. So friends, I hope the idea of callback, the usage of callback, why it is useful, how to deal with APIs using callback, what is callback hell, callback pyramid, and the debugging the asynchronous code at a high level is clear with you. This is the first video. This is going to give you some comfort level to think about the asynchronousness and handling the asynchronous calls and their output. In the next video, when we are getting into the promises, we will be learning the promise very, very deep. Promise is one of the subject. Even if you don't use it directly in your code, your interviewer is definitely going to ask a lot of things from promises, a lot of things from callback. So clarifying these concepts are going to help you immensely in your career, in your job. Don't forget to look into the task that I have given. As usual, the tasks are in the task.md file. Please take a look, solve it, and then post your task on the GitHub so that I can take a look into it. The community can take a look into it. Wait until I come back with the promised video. Take great care of yourself and keep learning.